Hello, jewels of inestimable value. Silence is not an absence but a presence. Andy Leclerc. In a world that glorifies loudness, where everyone fights to be heard, the Sigma female uses silence as her greatest weapon. She doesn't need to shout, argue, or demand respect. She earns it through the quiet power of her presence. Every pause she takes, every moment she chooses to withhold her words, becomes a statement stronger than anything she could say. It's in this mastery of silence where her true influence lies, commanding attention without uttering a single sound. This isn't just silence, it's a strategy, and it leaves everyone around her wondering what she's thinking, hanging on to the suspense of what she say next. Let's discuss this, shall we? Number 1. Mastering the pause. When a Sigma female masters the pause, it's not about hesitation or uncertainty. It's about control. She knows that the moments between words hold just as much power as the words themselves. By deliberately choosing when to speak and when to remain silent, she turns conversations into a form of art. People often scramble to fill the silence, nervous or eager to prove themselves, but she doesn't fall into that trap. Instead, she allows those few seconds of quiet to linger, letting the weight of her presence settle into the room. Her pauses make others stop and reflect, forcing them to reconsider what they've said or what they're about to say. The silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back the intentions of everyone around her. It's unnerving, yet captivating. People can't help but respect someone who doesn't rush to fill the void with meaningless chatter. Her pauses say, "I'm not in a hurry, I know exactly what I'm doing." This is how she commands attention without ever raising her voice. Each pause builds anticipation, making her next words feel more valuable, more deliberate. It's not about holding back, it's about letting everyone else catch up to her level of thought. In those moments of silence, she's in complete control, making sure that when she does speak, every word lands with precision. This ability to master the pause isn't just a conversational technique, it's a mark of authority, and everyone around her feels it. Number 2, the silent protector. The Sigma female doesn't need to broadcast her loyalty or make grand gestures to show she cares. She's the kind of person who stands by you without needing to say a word. Her silence in times of chaos or conflict is more powerful than any loud defense. It's not about being passive, it's about being quietly present, standing firm when it matters most. She protects the people she values not by getting involved in unnecessary arguments, but by staying calm and collected, letting her mere presence speak volumes. When others are embroiled in drama or under attack, she doesn't jump into the fray. Instead, she becomes the silent protector, offering a kind of strength that doesn't need to be explained. Her silence says, "I'm here, and that's enough." It's a form of loyalty that's rare and deeply respected because it doesn't come with strings attached or the need for validation. She doesn't need to be the loudest voice in the room to make her support felt. Her quiet confidence is the shield. This type of protection makes people feel safe in her presence. They know she's not going to waste time with pointless arguments or noise. Instead, she stands by silently, and in that silence, there's a sense of unwavering trust and loyalty. It's as if her silence holds the promise that when it comes down to it, she'll be there without hesitation, no questions asked. This unspoken support earns her respect because people know she's not swayed by the chaos around her. She's steady, she's reliable, and her silence is the strongest form of defense. Number 3, the power of listening. The Sigma female knows the power of truly listening, and it's one of the most underrated skills she brings to the table. While everyone else is eager to jump in and have their say, she sits back and absorbs everything. Her silence isn't just the absence of words, it's an active choice, a sharp tool she uses to gather more information than anyone else in the room. People often underestimate how much she knows because she doesn't feel the need to constantly chime in. But make no mistake, she's catching every detail, reading between the lines, and understanding far more than what's being said out loud. When people speak to her, they feel heard in a way that's almost startling. It's like their words are given more weight because she doesn't interrupt or rush to respond. She lets the silence sit. And in that space, they find themselves revealing more, going deeper than they planned. Her listening becomes a mirror, reflecting their own thoughts back at them, often clearer than they realized. She gives people the room to express themselves fully, and that makes her presence magnetic. This isn't passive listening, though. She listens with intention, mentally sorting through the noise to find what really matters. By the time she chooses to speak, she's already thought through every angle, and her words come with a depth that leaves others thinking, "Why didn't I see it that way before?" The respect she commands through this kind of listening is profound because people realize she's not just present in the conversation. She's mastering it from a place of quiet observation. In a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, her silence is the loudest voice in the room. Number 4, refusing to engage in drama. The Sigma female doesn't waste her energy on drama. She sees it for what it is, empty noise, a distraction from the things that actually matter. While others get sucked into gossip, arguments, and petty conflicts, she remains unmoved. Her silence in these moments is her way of saying, "This isn't worth my time." She refuses to engage, not because she's weak or afraid, but because she knows that responding would only drag her down to a level she has no interest in occupying. By staying quiet in the face of drama, she sends a powerful message. She's not here for the games. People come to realize that stirring up trouble won't get a reaction from her. It's as if her silence builds a wall that nonsense can't penetrate. While others may thrive on the chaos, she remains calm, and that composure earns her respect. People soon understand that if they want her attention, they'll need to come with something more substantial than empty conflicts. What's most intriguing is that her silence doesn't feel like avoidance. It feels like a higher form of control. She's choosing where to direct her energy, and it's never toward anything that drains her. Instead of feeding into drama, she lets it wither away without her participation. Others may fight for the last word, but she doesn't need it. Her refusal to engage speaks louder than any comeback could. In the end, her silence makes her untouchable, and that's where her power lies. Number 5, silent defiance. When a Sigma female practices silent defiance, it's a rebellion without fanfare. She doesn't need to shout, argue, or prove her point. She simply refuses to conform, and that alone shakes the ground around her. It's in her quiet refusal to follow the crowd or be pressured into something she doesn't believe in that her strength shows. People expect resistance to come with loud protests, but with her, it's the opposite. She doesn't waste words on debates that don't matter. Instead, she calmly stands her ground, and her silence becomes her most powerful form of resistance. Her defiance isn't just stubbornness, it's a calculated move. By choosing silence over argument, she lets her actions speak for her. She walks away from situations that don't align with her values, and in doing so, she makes it clear that she won't be swayed by external pressures. What's even more intriguing is that her silence forces others to reconsider their position. When she doesn't engage, it leaves people unsettled, wondering what they're missing. She doesn't need validation from anyone, and that unnerves those who are used to pushing buttons to get reactions. In a world where people feel the need to constantly explain or defend their choices, the Sigma female's silent defiance feels like a breath of fresh air. She's not seeking approval, and she's not waiting for permission. Her quiet resistance says everything that needs to be said without uttering a single word. That level of confidence, of standing firm without making a scene, earns her a level of respect that loud protests never could. It's in her refusal to play by the rules that she shows her true power, and everyone around her feels the weight of that silence. Number 6, creating space for others' reflection. The Sigma female has a unique way of creating space for others to reflect. She knows that in the noise of daily life, people rarely stop to think. Instead of bombarding them with opinions, advice, or filling every silence with chatter, she allows pauses to exist, letting the weight of the moment sink in. Her silence becomes an invitation for others to truly process their thoughts. It's not about her needing to dominate the conversation. It's about giving people the rare opportunity to actually hear themselves. When she steps back and remains quiet, she creates an atmosphere where people feel safe enough to explore their own ideas. It's almost as if her presence is holding up a mirror. reflecting back their words and actions, making them realize things they wouldn't have if the silence wasn't there. This space she creates is a gift, because it's in those moments of quiet that real breakthroughs happen. People leave conversations with her feeling like they've discovered something new about themselves, not because she told them what to think, but because she gave them the room to figure it out on their own. It's this ability to listen and allow silence that makes people respect her on a deeper level. In her presence, they feel understood, not because she's constantly validating them with words, but because she gives them the time and space to reach their own conclusions. And that's a rare kind of respect she earns, not through forceful opinions, but through the quiet wisdom of knowing when to let silence do the work. Number 7, the elegance of the unsaid. The Sigma female knows the true elegance of leaving things unsaid. She understands that not everything needs an explanation, not every thought requires an audience. There's a refined strength in withholding words, in letting the silence speak for itself. By choosing not to over-explain or justify herself, she creates an air of mystery that pulls people in. They wonder what's going on behind her calm demeanor, what thoughts are spinning behind those knowing eyes. Her silence isn't emptiness, it's intentional, loaded with meaning that only the observant can pick up on. This elegance of the unsaid creates an almost magnetic pull. People are drawn to her because they sense there's more beneath the surface, more than she's willing to share openly. In a world where everyone is spilling their emotions, broadcasting every thought, she holds back, and that makes her words when she does speak all the more valuable. It's not that she's hiding, it's that she knows the power of restraint. She leaves others thinking, guessing, and even reevaluating their own words. What's most intriguing is that her silence doesn't create distance, it creates depth. By not saying everything, she encourages people to listen more carefully, to pay attention to the subtleties. In that space of the unsaid, respect is born. People start to realize that they don't need to hear everything to understand her, and that there's a grace in letting things remain unspoken. It's in this delicate balance of saying just enough, but not too much, where her true elegance lies. And it's captivating. Number 8, the final word by saying nothing. When the Sigma female chooses to say nothing, she's not backing down. She's delivering the final word without uttering a syllable. Silence for her is not a surrender, but a definitive statement. She knows that sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Others might scramble to get the last word, thinking that volume or persistence means victory. But she understands that silence has its own gravity. It closes conversations, shuts down unnecessary arguments, and signals that the discussion is over on her terms. Her decision to remain silent leaves people wondering if they've said too much or too little. It's unsettling because, in that quiet, people are left to confront their own words. They start replaying the conversation in their heads, second-guessing their approach. The Sigma female knows that people often reveal more in their discomfort with silence than in the words they speak. It's as if her silence forces others to reflect, reconsider, and sometimes even regret what they've said. But the real beauty of her silence is that it's never passive. It's a conscious choice, a way of asserting her boundaries and control. By saying nothing, she maintains her dignity, refusing to be dragged into pointless arguments or emotional outbursts. Her silence speaks of confidence. It's a signal that she doesn't need to explain herself or convince anyone. The conversation ends when she decides it does, and her silence leaves a lasting impression. People walk away knowing they've encountered someone who commands respect not through noise, but through her quiet, unshakable strength. Number 9. The unspoken boundaries. The Sigma female embodies unspoken boundaries, and her silence is a powerful tool in establishing them. She doesn't need to announce her limits. Her mere presence communicates what she will and won't accept. When conversations start to stray into uncomfortable territory, or when someone oversteps their mark, she often responds not with words, but with a moment of stillness. This pause creates a palpable tension, making it clear that the current trajectory isn't acceptable. In a world where so many people are eager to please or justify themselves, she stands apart. Her silence serves as a protective shield, asserting her values without having to shout about them. People quickly learn that when she's quiet, it's time to reassess. This isn't just passive resistance, it's an active declaration of self-respect that demands respect in return. The fascinating part is that her unspoken boundaries often lead to deeper understanding. Others start to notice that she doesn't engage with negativity or unnecessary conflict. Instead of feeling confrontational, they often find themselves reflecting on their own behavior. Her silence invites a level of introspection that most aren't prepared for, but those who truly value her presence will rise to the occasion. By maintaining these unspoken boundaries, she cultivates an environment where genuine connections can flourish. People feel drawn to her because they know she won't tolerate superficiality or disrespect. This creates a dynamic where honesty thrives, and relationships are built on mutual understanding. In her world, silence isn't a void. It's a foundation for respect, clarity, and authenticity, leaving everyone around her aware of the lines they should never cross. Number 10. Silence as presence. The Sigma female has a remarkable ability to wield her silence like a finely tuned instrument, shaping the dynamics around her with precision. She knows that sometimes the most effective way to communicate is through absence rather than presence. In group settings or during intense discussions, when emotions run high, she might choose to step back. This isn't just disengagement. It's a powerful tactic that shifts the focus back to the conversation itself. People often find themselves reevaluating their words when they realize she isn't feeding into the chaos. By stepping away from the noise, she encourages a reflective atmosphere. Others are left grappling with their own statements, pondering the weight of their words without her usual input. This creates a sense of urgency for clarity. They feel the pressure to articulate their thoughts more thoughtfully because they're no longer being carried along by her responses. In this way, her silence acts as a catalyst for deeper conversations, prompting others to think critically rather than rely on her to steer the dialogue. Moreover, when she does finally decide to speak, it carries an undeniable weight. Each word feels like it has been carefully considered, crafted from the observations she's gathered in her quietude. Her silence before speaking amplifies the impact of her words, making them feel like rare gems rather than everyday chatter. This makes others sit up and take notice, understanding that when she does choose to contribute, it's with a depth and insight that demands respect. Ultimately, the power of her silence transforms the space around her. It compels others to elevate their thinking, pushing them to dig deeper, to communicate more meaningfully. In a society saturated with noise, her ability to harness silence not only makes her presence felt, it reshapes conversations into something truly significant, creating an environment where authenticity thrives and respect is paramount. In a world often dominated by noise and chaos, the Sigma female stands as a powerful embodiment of the strength found in silence. Her ability to masterfully navigate conversations through quiet reflection, unspoken boundaries, and purposeful pauses creates an atmosphere of respect and introspection. She shows us that silence is not an absence but a presence, one that speaks volumes about self-assurance and authenticity. By embracing the elegance of the unsaid and wielding her silence with intention, she challenges those around her to engage more thoughtfully and deeply. In the end, it's this unique approach that not only sets her apart but also inspires others to reconsider the weight of their words and the power of presence, reminding us all that sometimes the most profound conversations happen in the stillness between. If you found this look at the Sigma female's powerful use of silence intriguing, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more thought-provoking insights. Join our community and stay updated on our latest content. Let's keep exploring together. Thanks for watching, Jules. See you in the next video. Bye for now and stay blessed.